Hey guys, I saw a couple people said I'm kind of glitchy. I don't know why. I got a real strong signal. Well, I'm connected by Ethernet. I'm not even on Wi-Fi. Sound is good, thank you. Didn't even have to ask. Let's see. All right, I got my audio good. Awesome, awesome. Thank you, moderators, for being in there. 760 in the chat. We got a little time to kill. We'll get 1,000 real quick. Got another excellent presentation. Even my Archaix veterans, sometimes, we all need a reminder. Sometimes we need to go see original pieces of information. You're gonna going back to first principles and going back to the beginning when nobody was listening to my channel. Some of my Archaix veterans in here have been with me since before I even had 1,000 subs, and they're going to remember a lot of these images. I haven't shown them in a long time. So that's what we're going to do here. We're going to put this together. We're going to talk about the Phoenix phenomenon. We're going to talk about how the Great Pyramid relates to the Phoenix phenomenon, how they are intrinsically connected, and they cannot be separated. So, Shiva Shampoo, let's see. Yeah, so we'll figure it out. All right. You know what? Somebody said the number of devices connected. Well, I got this laptop off. I'm not using my phone. So I don't know. Okay. I can. Do this real quick. Get them to turn off the TV. All right. Let's see here. Thank you. That's my baby Phoenix right there. This baby Phoenix. All right. So the audio's good, but sometimes the picture's a little glitchy. I get it. There's too many devices connected. I get it. We're going to get through this presentation quick. It's going to last a little over 2 hours, but we got a lot to look at and a lot to talk about. Somebody sent me an interesting link. Guys, I don't look at everybody's links. I don't have unsolicited material sent to me. I don't have time to do that and live my life and present my own material. But I did pop this one open because of what they said. And they sent me a list of the videos I put out and the date that I put those videos out, and then a list of the Billy Carson presentations. And I'm like, wow, you actually sat down to the time you did this? Wow, that's crazy. So one of the very last ones was Billy's throwing around soulless avatar, and he's pushing simulation theory. Where have you heard soulless avatar? I've been saying that for 3 years. So I guess he understands where the general public sentiment is going, so he's jumping on the bandwagon. Not so much talking about multidimensional anymore. Now it's simulation. I don't think there's a difference, but still, it's crazy. I'll be doing this book report pretty soon. Then I'm going to leave him alone because it's really not worth my time. Let's see. All right. I'm going to go get the clips. Me and Big John and I were talking about it this morning. I'm going to go back and get the clips to show you. Guys, I put out 3 years ago, I put out a series of predictions videos. I put them out too early. I'm going to tell you, my finger has been on the pulse. In those predictions videos, I laid out that very soon, I thought it was going to be in 2022, but I laid out the scenario that the state of Texas is going to buck the federal system very soon, and whatever this defiance is, other states are going to join Texas and basically tell the feds F you. I didn't know it was going to be over the border. I didn't know, but I knew that there was going to be a huge shift, demographic shift, and it could lead to the creation of two United States. One of them that's very liberal, and it's a bunch of slum states that are all fused together, run by the globalists, and the other one are the conservative states that are now led by Texas. This is a predictions video from 3 years ago. So anyway, I'm watching the events with interest right now, but I'm also going to tell you, even though this isn't a political video, I'm going to tell you now that it's all smoke and mirrors. Let me explain. For 4 years since Trump was removed from office, for 4 years, the international globalists have fleeced the United States in stimulus bills in the trillions of dollars. This was Nancy Pelosi's job. She did it. She's done. She's gone. They couldn't have done that with their hero in place. And what I'm saying is from the very beginning, Trump was set to play a role, but that role is just now unfolding. Yeah, guys, Trump is not a good guy. I was fooled too. I voted for him. But now I understand the play. I get it. I get what they did. They couldn't leave him in office, so they put a dumbass in office and a dummy administration, and they fenced Washington, D.C. United States is a captured operation, guys. It's 100% a captured operation. The Biden administration is a puppet administration. If Trump would have remained president, he would have never been able to justify giving away trillions of US dollars. He would have never been able to justify and stayed the good guy by leaving billions of dollars of American military hardware in an enemy country. We did that. Biden did that. Everybody forgot. Did you forget? We literally gave more advanced, sophisticated military hardware than many nations even possess. And we left it there. So, any true military that was being run out of an area is not going to leave. That it's scorched earth. Military applies scorched earth unless it's a political move. Scorched earth means you destroy your own vessels so the enemy cannot use them. That's not what happened. We gave it to them. We gave it to them because this year in 2024, shit's going to hit the fan. Is it going to be a world war? It all depends on how you define world war. I don't believe it's going to be world war. I believe that it's all by design. It's all by design. Trump is designed to fuse together the Christian conservative right, bring them up under. Now, they are so die-hard Trumpers now that it doesn't even matter. By the time they put their man in place or he endorses somebody and everybody goes with the endorsement, like Vivek, who used to be, World Economic Forum, now all of a sudden he's the Republican Obama. Listen, this is all by design, guys. There are no good guys in politics anymore. And it really hurts my heart that all these patriots out there are falling for this, because they are. They're falling for this. They're going to back Trump. Then Trump's going to be the good guy, and he's going to be back in a position of power, either as the Speaker of the House or as president or even vice president. And we'll have a real evil son of a bitch as president. I don't know. But what I see unfolding is Texas sitting here trying to save face as if you didn't already let millions and millions of military-age foreigners across the border while you waiting on the court system to decide if Biden is acting legally, while you let the feds come, Border Patrol, cut your fence. Yeah, now that shit's about to hit the fan, Texas officials, like the governor, want to be able to say when the Olympics take off and everything hits the fan, when Islam rises up and starts attacking synagogues all over the world and then starts attacking infrastructure in different places, and the second seal of the apocalypse totally unfolds exactly the way I told you it did a few months ago in 2 videos. When all this goes down, Texas wants to be the one that say, guys, Biden did all this. We fought him tooth and nail all 4 years to keep these people out. that did this, but they didn't. They didn't fight tooth and nail. They only started fighting after the multitudes of millions of fifth columners were already here. Yeah, it's all bullshit. But let's get on with this presentation. So, yeah, guys, I don't even take sides. I don't even care. It's bullshit because under normal circumstances, Christians and Muslims get along just fine. No problem. No problem. Even in the past, Islam has shown great valor on the battlefield and acted the gentleman when Christians did not. It's in the historical record, guys. You got to understand what happened in the Crusades, Saladin, and the battles that took forth, and the license that was afforded. And you'd be surprised. You'd be surprised what you hear. Yeah. Sometimes you're not on. Sometimes you want to be, but you're just not on the right side. So I'm not. You know what? I'm not even taking sides. I don't even care about politics. I don't even care about religion. It's all control systems that are used by the elite to do the things that they need to do. So, all right. Now, the highly individualized soul is not going to worry about any of this anyway. So we're just not going to worry about it. So let me share this. Let me share this screen. We got over 1,000 people in. Let's go. I'm going to share screen now that I know how to do it. I'm not showing video clips, so we shouldn't have any problems with buffering. And I'm back in the OG studio, as you guys can see. The difference in my studios, let me explain. The difference in my studios is the studio that I do most of my videos in is basically my antique studio. All those books are very old, 100 years old, 150. I have some 270-year-old books, but it's this studio here is amazing library. But these are modern research books, and a lot of them cite the old books and old texts. But that's the difference in the studios. This studio has all modern. I got shelves, modern research books. All kinds of amazing stuff. My chair's in the way. You can't see a lot of it. Well, before I share, let me do this. Yeah, you can't see everything, but I got a whole lot. I got books all down here, books on the shelves up there. I got books way up here on the top shelf that you can't see above the picture frame. And all that. Got y'all know this. This is famous. This is one of those hologram pictures. Somebody modernly stuck this dude's face on there, but you've seen the original 1893 Munst, whatever his name is. It's called The Scream. It's really weird. Red sky, all that stuff. A lot of people think it has something to do with the Phoenix phenomenon. But yeah, these are really good, compelling research books. Ones I don't have in the other studio. All right, let's present. Let's get this show on the road. All right, share screen. Share screen. Yeah, this is good. This is going to go fluid today. I got everything organized and no video clips. All right. Well, there. Let's see what we got here. I need to check something real quick. Yeah, that's the right one. That's the right one. All right. So, this is a tenet of Archaix. I frequently remind those who listen to me that it is much easier to criticize a new comment than to give a clear and complete exposition of its value. One of my favorite philosophers happens to be German. Author Schopenhauer said that. Now, I get this a lot. Most people just critique me. They make fun. They make fun of my voice. They make fun of the fact that I'm self-educated. I'm autodidactic. I don't know how to pronunciate many of the words that I know, but I know the words. So I spent my life in books. I don't have a collegiate education. I wasn't programmed that way. It's just they make fun of my criminal history, but they don't attack my theories. You don't see people coming out attacking my theories. I have not had a challenger yet. For 2 years, I have been doing call outs. I have been telling people, if you got any problem with the Phoenix phenomenon, Nemesis X theory, if you got any problem with how I reinterpret Zechariah Sitchin's shars to days instead of years and all the sources, the Atlantis dating of Graham Hancock being wrong, all my information on the zodiac, precession, whatever, it doesn't matter. All you got to do is write your thesis. Write your thesis, cite your sources. You're more than welcome to come on my channel. But I promise you, if you take the time to write a thesis attacking any of the information that I present, I promise you, I'm not going to be polite. I'm not going to be rude, but you're going to think I am, because I'm going to overwhelm you with data and you're going to look the fool. But I'm cool with that. I'm still waiting for a challenger. I haven't had one yet. So this is Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, Sherlock Holmes. When you have eliminated the impossible, whatever remains, however improbable, must be the truth. My Archaix veterans already know that I have spent most of my time eliminating bad data. It's the only way to see the truth. With so many theories and disparate ideas and so much cherry picking, people just cherry picking like Charles Fort said in 1919. He said that who would not be a prize marksman if only his hits were recorded? That's right. He was talking about the scientific disciplines. Yeah, they regard themselves as experts, but they don't publish their failures. So, Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, eliminate the impossible. And no matter what's left, however improbable, must be the truth. Another favorite of mine, G.R.S. Mead, 1892. He affected the scholastic world. As a matter of fact, your tablets should still say Mead on them. You get booklets and tablets and pencils, they say Mead on them. This guy here, he affected the field for real. He said there is no need for new revelation, but there is every need for an explanation of the old revelations and the undeniable facts of human experience. Again, Archaix applies this. I'm always showing you guys that the majority of legends and myths that talk about gods is merely cargo cult phenomenon. That's what it is. It's all cargo cult. They're only referring to technologically advanced human. It only takes 200 years. This is something I've been saying from the beginning of my channel. As a matter of fact, my very first video is on the Phoenix phenomenon, and there's a chart. It only takes 200 years to go from horse and buggy to Hadron Collider. We have no need for ET to come down here and share anything with us. Humans are very innovative. So Arthur Schopenhauer, again, in The World is Will and Representation. If you're not a philosopher and you don't like philosophy, the book will bore the shit out of you. It is huge. But it's just, I was in prison, I had nothing else to do, and I just fell in love with the mind of Arthur Schopenhauer. And in the end, he says, the mere pure historian working only according to data is like a man who, without any knowledge of mathematics, investigates by measurement the proportions of figures previously found by accident. All my discoveries are in retrospect. Every single thing that I have discovered is after I had already amassed so much data that I should have figured it out earlier. But it took all the data to put it together, and then I make these profound discoveries, realizing that most of what I've been taught and a lot of what is being presented in modern times is absolute BS. Arthur Schopenhauer. Let me check real quick. So I'm just going to check my chat real quick, make sure you guys are still with me. Amen. Okay. As long as I don't see any comments talking about we can't see, I'm good. All right. All right. C.W. Serum, a French philosopher, historian. For we need to understand the past 5,000 years in order to master the next 100 years. I agree with him. This should be the mantra of Archaix, as I said. This should be the mantra. Another favorite of mine, Ouspensky. Okay, he is the student of Gurdjieff. In 1914, he published a book, Tertium Organum, a key to the enigmas of the world. Right there. Ouspensky wrote, future events are wholly contained in preceding ones. If we knew all the past, by this we could know all the future. I'm absolutely convinced. Absolutely convinced. I show you guys all the time the patterns in history, especially palindromic patterns. They're amazing. They're amazing. Maurice Maeterlinck wrote a really interesting book in 1922. In that book, we read, the more ancient the text, the purer, the more awe-inspiring are the doctrines which they reveal. All throughout Archaix, this is what attracts so many people to Archaix. I'm showing over and over and over that all it takes is a shift of the mind. Once you understand the frames of reference being employed by ancient authors, you understand that they're talking about very technologically advanced things, but they're doing it from a primitive perspective after they lost their infrastructure. So, the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 1, verses 9 through 11. There is no remembrance of former things, neither shall there be any remembrance of things that are to come, with those that shall come after. That's right. We don't have a single text that says, see those three pyramids? We don't have a single text surviving from the ancient world that describes the building of the Great Pyramids and the Sphinx. All we have is our ex post facto compositions thousands of years after those constructions were already old. Alan Vaughan wrote that history repeats itself, but with variations. This is what I wrote on the bottom. I agree. My own study of history reveals that worlds repeat themselves, but with variations. Fractured timelines, new calendars being the imposition of a new order overlaid upon dying systems. That's Jason of Archaix right there. I agree with Alan Vaughan. I've showed you over and over in my presentations how history looks like a mathematical construct stamped on a different time periods. All they did was change the names of the participants. Voltaire, the Frenchman Voltaire. Antiquity is full of the praises of another antiquity still more remote. Synesius of Cyrene, about a little over 15 centuries ago. Never will I consent to conceal my beliefs, nor shall my opinions be at war with my tongue. I live by that. As a matter of fact, I live by that so much, guys, you already know. I don't have very many filters and just say whatever needs to be said. The exact opposite type personality is this one right here, described by C.W. Dalton. It is safer to be wrong with everyone than to be right alone. That's right. The world's all wrong. Everybody knows it, but nobody's doing anything about it. That's the title of the book. C.W. Dalton. It's a rare book. It's hard to find now. The words of Jesus in the Gospel of Thomas. Have you then deciphered the beginning, that you ask about the end? For where the beginning is, there shall be an end. Blessed is the man who reaches the beginning. He will know the end. Guys, this is all introduction. I'm just waiting for more and more people to get into the chat. I haven't even started my presentation. This whole slideshow I'm showing right now is just the intro. Immanuel Kant. It is indeed true that I think many things with the clearest conviction, which I never have the courage to say. But I will never say anything which I do not think. That's me as well, Immanuel Kant. I'm going to give you guys the business. And yes, there are things that I do not say on YouTube. Yeah, there are. But what you do have coming out of my mouth is 100% the truth as I believe it to be true. I'm not saying that everything I told you is 100% accurate. I don't know. I believe I'm entitled to make mistakes. Emanuel Swedenborg, another very misunderstood man, 1755. The spiritual man feels quite independent, yet knows and acknowledges that he is led by invisible cords. That's right. Say this is another thing that I openly admit. A lot of the Archaix output would have never been put together had I not gone through so many hundreds of times in my life. I have gone through these spells where I hit this intellectual plateau where I'm just learning and I'm acquiring all this data and I'm high from it. But then this something comes over me and I get real like agitated, like, oh, wait a minute, I'm going in the wrong direction. I'm relying too much on me. And I just let go and I go to sleep. And I've told you guys I've done this multiple times. I just let go and I let spirit guide me. And I ask, hey, what am I not seeing? Why do I feel? Why all of a sudden I'm feeling a little different? And then I produce the most fascinating video presentations because I let go. I just let spirit take over, show me what it is I'm missing. What am I not putting together? And then I get shown that. And then I'm on such fire the next day. I release the video. Or it's just, this is how I live my life, guys. I'm led by spirit. And I can't time it. It's not, I'm not on my time. Something else drives me to do the work, to do the research, to want to convey the findings. But something also seems to override and just flood me with a feeling that, hey man, I need to stop what I'm doing. Whatever it is I'm doing, I might be going the wrong direction, or I might not be putting the data together the way it needs to be put together, whatever it is, and I'll just let go, and then I'll sleep on it, and I'll wake up, and I got it. I got the whole presentation down, and then I tell you guys about it. Gregory of Tours, 6th century, another 15 centuries ago, 1,500 years ago. The mind has lost its cutting edge. We hardly understand the ancients. There it is right there. This is not an inference at all that the ancients were primitive. It's just the opposite. French admirer of Sir Isaac Newton. I've quoted this a few times in my presentations. What a distance there is between a truth that is glimpsed and a truth that is demonstrated. Again, this is very Archaix related. I'm always encouraging you guys, you need to look at the sources yourself, order the books. You'll see they say what I'm telling you they say, or get the free PDFs. And when I'm showing you mathematical demonstrations on the artificiality of the unfolding of historical events, I'm always encouraging you guys to follow me with a calculator. Here it is. We can glimpse truth all the time. But when we see truth demonstrated, which requires our participation, it's a whole new level of understanding. Firmicus Maternus, excuse me, the beginning of anything is to be found out by the unfolding of historical events. Oh, quick. All right. I got somebody working on a property. All right. Yeah, the beginning of anything is to be found out by the unfolding of historical events. This goes in tandem with other quotes that I've shared with you guys, such as the last pages of a book are already contained in the first pages. This is a glimpse into the mystery that is the book of Genesis, which is the book of generations, which we're told it's a story of the beginning. And Revelation is a story of the end. And facially they are, but there's a lot of subtext, and there is a lot of crossover showing that the beginning and the end are actually one. And while we may look to the future tribulation and infrastructure collapse of the apocalypse, at the end of the apocalypse, we may look forward into the future as that being the end. However, it totally mirrors the beginning that we came from. We're in a loop. We're in a programmed reset loop. Genesis through Revelation reveals this. This is King Tutankhamun, a golden inscription discovered in the famous tomb of King Tutankhamun of Egypt, 1922. Howard Carter found this. I have seen the past. I know the future. Daniel Boorstin, he wrote a book called The Discoverers. It's a really good book. The unknown can be discovered by clearly marking the boundaries of the known. This is Archaix's procedure. This is what I do. I'm going to eliminate all the bad data to see what's left, so we can identify the perimeters of things that are true, as opposed to those that fall apart into nothing upon scrutiny. After a lifetime of study, when Charles Fort wrote in the 1930s, the world was a very different place. So to hear him say this is astounding, because this right here is 100 years ago. There may be occult things, beings, and events, and that also there may be something of the nature of an occult police force, which operates to divert human suspicions and to supply explanations that are good enough. Not to totally lie and totally pull the wool over your eyes, doesn't care. Just to supply explanations that are just good enough, as if it's the intent of this occult police force to not entirely hide the fact that reality is edited as we live it. And if that's the case, then it's meant to be for people to see the editing process. Not everybody, just a minority. I'm going to say amen to that and go look back and check back in my chat. When I'm sharing screen with you guys full like that, I can't see the chat. Let me catch up to my chat. Those of you new to my channel, I'm just going to let you know, in Archaix community, we have zero tolerance. My mods have adopted a lot of my own attitude. Yeah, you have the entire Netscape to go troll. You have 100,000 YouTube videos and many other platforms where you can go hear things that you agree with, but don't come into my house trying to start any shit. You will be eliminated, and you'll be eliminated quick. And I really don't do takebacks. So be real careful what you say, because if it's construed, you're being passive aggressive and all that, there's no negativity allowed in my chat, period. And after the end of every live stream, I go through my chat. I go through my chat and I do a little polishing up and take care of things. I don't let anything through. You can go look at my past live videos and look at the live chat feeds, and you'll see how clean they are. Because I'm going to continue to edit. I'm going to continue to edit my community the way it needs to be community. You can leave that negativity out of here. I don't even care about it. Don't even care about your opinions. If you disagree, that's fine. Then say you disagree. Provide your point. Send an email. Show me. But yeah, if you're not willing to look at the presentations to see how much data is readily available free to you on my channel, don't come into my chat with that bullshit. I'm going to hurt your feelings. All right, now back to my deal here. So in the book of Daniel, we are told about prophetic revelation of the last days. The book of Daniel in chapter 12, verse 7 through 10 is the area. And it's the words are closed up and sealed until the time of the end. But the wise shall understand. That's pretty compelling. So at the bottom I put, The coming manufactured false apocalypse. Phoenix reset that follows in May 2040. Return of the Vapor Canopy and its conditions. Nemesis X object in November 2046. Institution of civil government in 2052 of the ancient seven kings. They will be returning. The real apocalypse and return of the chief cornerstone in 2106. For an exodus from this dungeon of the demiurge are the messages of Archaix. Seeing old things with new eyes. This paragraph sums up a great, basically the body of the Archaix data. Now, I have opinions that I live by also, such as the same opinions that have made me very successful. I am a highly individualized, immortal soul. My informed field is used by me, by my mind, to create the world that I want to experience. And the overfield doesn't care about none of that. But it does reflect back its circumstances. Anything it sees my avatar do that supports the mental architecture that I blasted out to the construct. It knows my mental architecture. It understands the picture I'm seeing. Daydreams and fantasies don't get me anywhere, and it doesn't respond to them. But as soon as my avatar starts moving in the direction of accomplishing something that I have set out there as an intent, it instantly has builder protocols that unleash all kinds of phenomena and circumstances into my life to help me get to where I'm trying to go. Yeah, we're co-creators. We're not creators. We're co-creators. Once you understand that dynamic and how easy it is to build the life you want, you'll do it. You just quit talking about it. You'll quit worrying about it. You'll be about it. Simple as that. So, my very first video and in my published books, I quoted Pliny. If there is anybody in the history of the world that I can agree that I am most like, it's Pliny the Elder. Pliny the Elder had a habit. Other Roman writers wrote about him. He had a habit of reading a massive amount of books and taking all just little pieces of information that were interesting to him and storing them away and then using them to put more books together. And he had a habit of taking notes from everything. Well, he said this 2,000 years ago. Absolutely nothing is being added to the sum of knowledge as a result of original research. Indeed, not even the discoveries made by people long ago are thoroughly assimilated. I read this like 20 years ago and added this to my notes. But he's absolutely correct. This is why when you look at all the ancient mysteries channels and man, everything's the same. It's all rehashed, different personality. There's no one really offering anything new. Phoenix Phenomenon hit you with something new. Nemesis X hit you with something new. Dark Satellite hit you with something new. This construct, this simulacrum, it hit you with something new. And it all fits together perfectly. Chronology hit you with something new because no one else is claiming to be a chronologist. I haven't met a single one. So this is the value for my baby phoenixes out there. This is the value of Archaix. It has brought so many formerly unknown data sets. I'm not talking about just concepts, because everything I just told you comes with a plethora of information and data and sources. And this is why I have almost 600 videos. And this is why you're having a hard time keeping up, because I'm steadily producing more and more information. It's never going to end because we have that much. If no one else is going to go through all the ancient records and all the ancient texts and the translations and show you all these things, then it falls on me to do it. I got to do it. I would like some help, but so far it's not forthcoming. So this is absolutely necessary at this time, at this juncture where we're at today, because we have to understand, by putting all the pieces together, we realize the more we study the technologically advanced civilization of the ancient past that disappeared and then fragmented into many different cultures that then went through a series of resets to totally forget their own histories. The more we put the pieces together and we research the ancient past, this one single technologically advanced infrastructure, the more we look at them, the more we see ourselves. We are looking into the past at us right before our impending future. We're on a loop. So, here's one of my favorites. I'll drink to that. It's one of my favorites, guys. Males are many, but men are few. It's one of my favorite quotes. And I believe that. Same thing about souls. You know what I mean? Avatars are many, but souls are few. So this quote here, males are many, but men are few, is entirely my quote. Because when I got out of prison, right here, you're looking at me right after I got out of prison. When I got out of prison in 2016, I was disgusted by what I saw. I was disgusted. I'm not talking to you guys. I'm talking to, basically, I'm referring to the society that I entered. I went to prison in 1990. I got out in 2016. When I got out in 2016, the state of masculinity and manhood had completely changed. It had completely changed. Now, there are many of you, especially Archaix errants, who agree and you understand. You understand exactly what I'm talking about. But for me, it was culture shock when I got out. I was walking around in a daze like, wow, man, how can you even carry yourself in public like that? So many shocks. There were so many shocks. And I didn't even make up this quote until after I got out of prison. Males are many and men are few. Archaix. Occam's razor. This is what we apply. This is what we apply. And all the time in my presentations, we have to reduce everything to its lowest common denominators. This is how the Archaix data works. We're able to go through a massive amount of material and just apply a few intellectual techniques and get rid of all the flotsam and jetsam. And look at nothing but the treasure chest below. We see exactly what it is. And then we figure out how to open it to get the real historical gemstones out. This is what we do. Occam's razor is necessary. If a tenet requires too many cognitive leaps, then it needs to be dismissed. Just like Sir Arthur Conan Doyle said, eliminate the impossible, and no matter what remains, however improbable, must be the truth. And another favorite quote. This is by Darth P.T. Barnum. It doesn't matter what they say about you as long as they spell your name right. Guys, I will always be I will always be attacked. Until the day I die, people that dislike me, dislike my message, or jealous of my popularity, or they're jealous of my success. I'm an ex-con. I don't deserve what I'm receiving. There will always be these people, and they will always attack me, and they will always be attacking my criminal record. It doesn't matter. Anybody can go to Harris County Jail, buy my court records, and read them to the public. I don't care. I've already had some people do that. I've already had. And what you're going to find out is I saved a 19-year-old girl's life. Yes, I did carjack her. Yes, I did kidnap her, but I was with somebody else. And yes, we took her car. Yes, we did all that. What I did not foresee is what he was going to do to her. And it completely shocked me. I had no idea this was going to go down. Her family wanted me to get out of jail. All this happened fast, rapidly. But in 1990, it was a very different world. Very different world, especially when Marvin Bell killed a cop and he was assigned to my court, and my judge let him go on a Miranda right violation named Norman Lanford. All of this can be verified. I've got many newspaper clippings from the day. Yeah, I got caught up in a real bad way because I was going to sign for 90 days of boot camp until Marvin Bell raped a sheriff's deputy at Harris County. The same guy who just got let go after shooting a cop on a Miranda right violation. So Judge Norman Lanford, the most liberal judge in Harris County, all of a sudden found himself in 1991 about to lose his bench. So what did he do when all the news stations were there? It doesn't matter what the PSI investigator was recommending, because 100% of the time in the entire history of the 339th District Court and Judge Norman Lanford, PSI investigators' recommendations were always gone by because they were boots on the ground. A PSI investigator talks to the victim's family, talks to the perpetrators, talks to everybody in the investigation, all the police and all that. I drove this poor 19-year-old girl. I was 17, but I drove this poor 19-year-old girl to the police and wrote a full statement against myself. The dumbest thing I ever did. Saving her life from John Ernesto Jr., we called him Joey, was a good thing. Taking her to the police was a good thing. Writing a full statement against myself was totally stupid. Totally stupid. Because my story and her story and his story didn't match, because all she wanted to do was go home, and she wasn't trying to tell on us. She had taken her dad's Lexus out, and it wasn't cool, and it's just she wanted her keys back so she could just go home and not ever get caught doing whatever she was doing. So the whole thing was a bunch of kids messing around, and it got out of control, and he got 45 years for that, John Ernesto. But people will always hate on me, and they'll always accuse me of doing something I did not do, and it doesn't even matter. I don't care. I got thick skin, and believe me, if I was messed up like that, I would have never survived 26 years in maximum security in Texas prison. Wouldn't happen, because when you go to prison, you do paper checks. Paper checks are when the other inmates look through your court records to ascertain why you're there. Yeah, guys. It's never going to end for me, and I'm cool with that, because I've embraced the fact that my haters have only chosen my criminal history. I don't have any takers on my research. It doesn't matter what they say about you as long as they spell your name right. It didn't help either that I got caught with a knife and got caught with cell phones, and I got more time once I was in prison. That didn't help. It didn't make me look good at all. It killed my parole and all that. But you know what? It doesn't matter. I'm out now. I'm doing exactly what I need to be doing, because the entire time I was in prison, I was researching. And you guys get the benefit of this research for free. But my detractors and my haters will always use my criminal history against me. And that's cool, because it shows that they don't have the intellectual capacity to attack the merits of my research. And that, to me, is a compliment. That's P.T. Barnum. That little stint right there was my intro. Let me check back on my chat. Make sure everything's good. Stop. Let's see here, guys. All right. Okay, chat's going good. Is my picture still okay? I can tell my audio's good. Everybody's good. Excellent. That was my intro. Literally took almost an hour to do the yeah, literally took almost an hour to get that, but we're gonna move fast. We're gonna go into some familiar material. Nelson Perez, get that work done. I used to do the same thing you're doing, Nelson. I was working a longitudinal fin machine doing mill work for oil and gas at the Vulcan facility. Vulcan, Phoenix. How's that? I used to do the same thing you're doing, Nelson. I used to be in the trades, and I would listen to YouTube when I was doing my mill work, and I was welding those fins on those fracking pipes. So I did. It's awesome. All right, now let's get into this presentation. Share screen again. There was no breaks. That's good. Remember, guys, this studio, I haven't been using it because I had a problem with the computer, and I've done presentations and I had an app that kept interrupting me. I factory reset the computer, and I re-uploaded all my Microsoft and all my stuff onto it, and it is running just fine now. This is the first video I've done since I have completely dumped all my files and all my information onto a drive and then just factory reset. And now my computer's running optimum. It's great. All right, let's see. Yeah, there's nothing to do when you're doing mill work. It's rote. You do the same thing, same thing, same thing. It's good to listen to something. So now we're going to move kind of fast. You can listen to this video over and over, but we're going to move kind of fast, guys. We're going to have to. We got a lot to present. I've got 5 files to present. This is the first one. So in Archaix, we explore things like this, and we refer to others who I agree that are sharing viable content. You see this map. So you need to go to channels like Martin Leakey. You need to go to channel Autodidactic, Static in the Attic. If you really want to understand the provenance of some of these old maps that show a very different United States than we're looking in a very different world period, these are the authorities. I'm not an authority. I'm not. I only enjoy looking at presentations like this because I understand that in 1626, North America was ripped apart. Canyons appeared, a whole miniature sea drained out. California was fused. Well, it wasn't really fused. What happened was the area was geological upheaval, so it forced that water out. California used to be separate. It's right here. You see it right here. California used to be separate. Grand Canyon wasn't even there. 1626, all of a sudden, all these changes happen. It's the Phoenix phenomenon. All these changes happened before the English, Anglo-Saxons, and Dutch that were colonizing the 13 colonies that just arrived within the last 20 years on the East Coast, before they had time to expand westward, before Lewis and Clark, before the mountain men and the trailblazers, the wagon trains, before all that. All these changes happened right before the United States started getting populated. So that's why I like looking at these old maps. Here's an old cuneiform text published in 1901. He who fears the Anunnaki lengthens his days. This is from the Babylonian fearmonger priesthood perspective. That was Babylonian cuneiform. 2,000 years ago, Lucretius said that some unknown body, not the moon, darkens the sun at a fixed time. Lucretius said that in a 7,355 line poem on the nature of the universe. In that poem, he said, the history of our world is one of earthquakes, causing entire cities with their civilizations to sink to the bottom of the seas. The Great Flood was but one cataclysm in the cycle of quakes. That's right. 1661, Jesuit Father Albert Ordoville. This is what this guy said. I wonder what kind of materials he had access to. He's a Jesuit now. Beings from other worlds have for centuries sailed the seas of space. They brought intellectual illumination to the first people populating Earth. These beings often descend near our monasteries, teaching us and revealing things lost for centuries during the cataclysms which have changed the aspect of the world. Yeah, this is like 350 something years ago, guys. He said this. I disagree. They're not beings from space. I do agree that they come in and out the construct, though. In the beginning, he took web from spider grandmother and cast them up and made the stars. In Archaix, we go into a lot of traditional, oral tradition, a lot of ancient American traditions where it talks about the vapor canopy, the dark purple light, the dark sky, how spider grandmother held up the sky with her web, and when her web broke, the sun was born. Yeah. You got to understand the beginning of the sun calendars were after the vapor canopy collapsed and caused what we have at the North and South Poles, these huge 2-mile thick ice caps. Yeah, Ice Age theory, this is what we talk about in Archaix, and we show the data, and even the scientists in the 1800s who wrote about these things and were silenced because billionaires were funding the new uniformitarian position and model of world history, completely erasing all the catastrophist arguments. This is what they were doing. With their blood, let us create mankind. The service of the gods be their portion for all times. This is more Babylonian fear-mongering. This is Babylonian cuneiform. It is not from the original Sumerian texts. Ashurbanipal, almost 27 centuries ago, said, I have read the writings from before the flood. Ashurbanipal is famous because we found his library. How do you find a library with tens of thousands of texts, perfectly preserved, underground? How? Think about it for a minute. I just dropped my mouse. How do you find something like that? It's because the Near East was reset and it was all buried in mud. And they started over. And they built on top of that mud. And all that stuff underground just stayed there. The Nippur Library, the Uruk Library, Ashurbanipal's library, the Library of Kalna, Babylon. How is this possible? We found hundreds of thousands of clay cuneiform texts now. It's the only reason we know so much about the ancient world. All right, this is the book of Adam and Eve in the pseudepigraphical text. About 20 BC. This is he who deceived you and stripped you of your garment of light and the glory in which you were. This is the Godhead speaking to the first humans, Adam and Eve. In the beginning, mankind was stripped of a garment. Remember, we're in a loop. We're in a reset. What happens when we get toward the Exodus point? Two things. One, those who are aware, awakened, and elect, those who have been awakened by the oversoul, make the Exodus. Egypt is the world. They make their Exodus and they're gone. Some people have translated that into rapture or whatever, but they're gone. They get a garment with a new name, a white stone. In the ancient Greek, it was called the pala. This is why not the ancient Greek, in the ancient Babylonian, it was called the pala, P-A-L-A. Ishtar tried to get through the gates of the underworld and she couldn't. So she complained about it, and another god told her, "Oh, you need to wear the pala, and you'll get right through all the gates of the underworld, and you can go wherever you want, talk to Hades or whoever the underworld Nurgle or whoever she went to the underworld to go talk to." And she did. She went and got a pala, and with the pala, she was able to pass through the gates. So it's the same concept. Those who don't make their exodus get reset back to the beginning. When they would get reset back to the beginning, they're in the same position of Adam and Eve. You have been stripped of your garment, your avatars that you had at the end. Now you're given new avatars. You're starting primitive. You got to live through life sims all the way back up to this point again, to whether you hit that exodus point and you make it out of the construct or you get looped back in. It's all these ancient religions tell the same story, just from different frames of reference. Ignatius, Epistle to the I can never say that. Smyrna is the name of the city, Smyrna. It's a Greek city. But I arm you beforehand against certain beasts in the shape of men, whom you must not only receive, but if possible, must not meet with. That might be Men in Black. Here's a Frisian Oralind manuscript that sounds a lot like the Sumerian text. This is from the Oralind. In the olden times, the Slavonic race knew nothing of liberty. They were brought under the yoke like oxen. They were driven into the bowels of the earth to dig metals. Now that does sound like some Sumerian history. Reset theory is principal message of the Bible's creation event in Genesis. The gods, Elohim, commanded Adamu, be fruitful and multiply and replenish the earth to fill again. Now, what's interesting is scholars in the 1930s and 40s developed what is known as gap theory. They realized that there's a vast difference between Genesis 1:1 and Genesis 1:2. And that difference is that in the beginning, the heavens and the earth were all perfect and made. And then in Genesis 1:2, something had happened and totally destroyed it. And then the 7 days of creation are actually a renovation of pre-existing materials. So a lot of people think that the world's going to be a terrible place, and we're all going to understand that this is the last days. And it's not true. It's not true. That is not what eschatology shows. If the world's a bad place, and if the world is going through all this terrible stuff, then it's going to be just like Matthew chapter 24, when Jesus is telling you, hey, there will be earthquakes in divers places, and wars, and nation shall fight against nation, and the sea will be tumultuous, but the end is not yet. And he says, there will be signs in the sun and the moon, and the sun shall be darkened, and the moon will become as blood before the great and terrible day of the Lord comes. Just like Vesuvius, they were partying, they're doing whatever they want to do, had no idea the end of their world was about to happen, when they say peace and safety, then sudden destruction cometh upon them. It's the same way, guys. What we're going through right now is 16 years before the sixth seal's even broken, and the moon turns blood red, the sun goes black, and there's all kinds of atmospheric fallout, red dust, red rain. The whole sky rolls like a scroll in a temporal pole shift. It's the sixth seal. It's the Phoenix phenomenon. Very well documented. But it's not the end. It's not the end. There's going to be a period. It's going to have to be 3, 4, 5 year period where everybody automatically assumes, well, that's the end. It's over with. We're free and clear. They think peace and safety, and then the great tribulation catches them completely flat-footed. We're not at that flat-footed part right now because we're all expecting it. Remember, guys, it's the year 5917. We still got a ways to go. Popol Vuh, sacred book of the Maya, it specifically reads, all seem to have spoken one language and to have lived in great peace, black men and white together. The Popol Vuh has a lot of things like this, like how different races were created at different stages, and each one was abandoned, left on the surface, and they built another race. That's crazy. Popol Vuh is an interesting book. This is from an old book over 100 years ago called Pagan and Christian Creeds. This is an old Orphic tablet translation, a gold plate from a Greek tomb. I am a child of the earth and of the starry heavens, but my race is of heaven. It's pretty interesting what they believed. Strabo, Greek geographer, about 25 BC, said the ancients made longer journeys, both by land and sea, than men of later times. I agree. The Heliolithic Maritime Empire is another major facet of the Archaix research that was brought to the table by me. I got so many videos about the Heliolithic Maritime Empire. I have 5 recent videos that are all about just the year of their fall. 1687 BC, the Ogygian deluge. That's another first from Archaix. Where have you ever heard of the Ogygian deluge? And yet it's one of the most well-documented great cataclysms that destroyed the entire world in all the old books. And yet I haven't seen any videos about it. I haven't seen anybody talk about it. I produced enough data to fill 5 videos for you guys just on the Ogygian deluge. So it begs the question, is Pliny right and there's just no original researchers anymore? Or is there a force out there? Is Charles Fort right? And is there a force out there that's preventing the discovery of all of these? Or is C, that's A and B, or is it C, an amalgamation of both? I'll let you decide. I wanted to draw this to your attention because it comes from an ancient Sumerian fragment dated about we're talking about 4,500 or 600 years ago. The fragment says, in my heart, you are a human being, but in my eyes, you are not a man. This girl was pissed. Or some guy had really let this girl down. In my heart, you are a human being, but in my eyes, you are not a man. Okay. I need to show this. I need to show this to you guys because we have so many people today publishing books and articles and content creators that are presenting the idea that the ancient humans were different than us in some ways. They weren't. They wore underwear. Women wore high heels. They had mascara. Every bit of this has been found in the archaeological record. Yeah, I'm not making this up. It's all easily verifiable. There's almost nothing different from the far ancient world as it is today. Even technology. Some of the things that they built are still with us today. We just interpret them as being built by other civilizations that we invented. Nothing's changed, guys. Humans 5,000 years ago were no different than humans today. See. Believe whatever you want, but to me, the scripture is clear. Let us make man in our image after our likeness means to me that the gods on the outside of the construct are just human like we are. The true God, the oversoul, is unknown. Hence, inside the construct, anciently he was called Amen, the hidden one, the nameless one. Until this false reality collapses, we will never know the true creator. I just don't believe it. The oversoul is in direct communication with us through intuition, empathy, and imagination. Everything else in the construct is a part of the lie. Here's part of an old Mayan frieze from Central America. Shows a flood, shows a volcano. There's volcanic ash. Here's a pyramid right here on the side that's sinking in the water. Bricks are falling off of it. There's fire sigils in the sky. There's a guy drowning as a fish. And this might be Cox right here, surviving in the ship, getting away. Petrified Forest National Park in Arizona is a real interesting place. I've been there. I have looked at the petroglyphs. I've taken pictures with them, with Martin Leakey. Really interesting stuff. And this is very consistent with petroglyphs that have been found in other areas of the world. Now, only in the southern hemisphere, up until about 300 years ago, did we have these giant wingless emus and all kinds. There's like 5 or 6 different species of wingless bird, and they were spread through all these South Pacific islands and all that, around Australia, New Zealand. About 300 years ago, they pretty much were exterminated or they died out. But this is vapor canopy petroglyphs. These petroglyphs are ancient, but they're describing a time when humans had to hide from large animals. And in Archaix, I have quite a few presentations about Acambaro and the Ica gallery in Peru. 2 different archaeological finds that show vapor canopy, reptiles, amphibians, and megafauna. And how humans were tiny compared to these creatures, and yet they lived among each other. We domesticated giant reptiles and giant birds. Yeah, it's crazy. Oh yeah, look at this. This is 100 years. This is over 100 years ago. Look at these concept pieces. Underground tunnel systems with trains, right there. That's pretty interesting. Here's a fragment found among the Dead Sea Scrolls. They were destroyed by the flood. All on dry land were blotted out. Man and beast, bird and winged creature all died. Not even the giants escaped. A lot of people believe this was for sacrifice and all that, but more and more findings are coming out. It wasn't for blood sacrifices at all. It was for mercury. But it's not. I just wanted to show it's huge. This is like the stone of the 5th sun. Gigantic calendar disc. It's amazing. Again, the Dead Sea Scrolls, the Book of Secrets. It says, but they did not know the secret of the way things are, nor did they understand the things of old, and they did not know what would come upon them, so they did not rescue themselves without the secret of the way things are. Hang around Archaix and you're going to find out what the secret of the way things are is. Paracelsus in 1659. Long time ago, guys, over 400 years ago. Paracelsus in 1659 on Before the Flood. He said, at length, this universal knowledge was divided into several parts and lessened in its vigor and power. By means of this separation, one man became an astronomer, another a magician, another a Kabbalist, and a fourth an alchemist. Abraham, that volcanic Tubal-Cain, a consummate astrologer and arithmetician, carried the art of the land of Canaan into Egypt. In my first published book, Lost Scriptures of Giza, I show where Abram was known in the ancient world by many different cultures. Abram and Sarah in India were Brahma and Saraswati. They're even described the same. Going into Egypt in 1837 BC, Abram was escorted to the Great Pyramids, which were being dug up by the Egyptians. Even the Egyptian testimony is they found a magnificent object in the sand, and they attributed it to Thoth. And it was, I'm going to show you guys, I'm jumping the gun. I'm going to show you that in this presentation. Otto Silberman in 1930. Graham Hancock needs to read Otto Silberman. Otto Silberman in 1930. Plato's dating of the rise and fall of Atlantis 9,000 years before Solon's time could be dismissed right away. If such a civilization had existed, it would have been entirely forgotten long before the rise of Egypt. He's just using common sense. He's not even using all the meticulous calendrical data that I had to use to show that Graham Hancock was wrong. I don't know how this got in here. We're not even talking about this. I show this and the other. This is the history of the world. Phoenix phenomenon, Nemesis X, Mayan long count. Anunnaki nerve system is right here. The cursed earth period of cursed earth systems right here. Yeah, you can go to my website to see all that. So Augustine of Hippo, church father, in the book called Fountainhead of Religion from the 1920s, says what is now called the Christian religion has existed among the ancients and was not absent from the beginning of the human race. That's a church father saying that. If he'd have said that 500 years later, they'd have burned him at the stake. Ancient Hindu text, the Mahabharata. Do not do to others what you do not like for yourself. Where have you heard that from? What great teacher did you hear that from? The book of Enoch, chapter 39, verse 1. I saw all the secrets of the heavens and how the kingdom is divided and how the actions of men are weighed in the balance. Book of Enoch's awesome, guys. We're going to be talking about Enoch here in a minute. Ancient Egyptian magical papyrus. I am the son of the living God. Where have you heard that before? Utnapishtim tells Gilgamesh. Utnapishtim is the flood survivor in the Epic of Gilgamesh. He's the Sumerian Noah. Tells him about the world before the flood. In those days, the world teemed. The people multiplied. The world bellowed. And the great God was aroused by their clamor. It's referring to the Archaix epic, where the noise of humans being so many in the world caused God to send a flood to wipe out humanity. And in the Sumerian stories, Enki becomes the trickster. He becomes disparaged by the other gods because Enki actually told humans what was coming, while the other gods all formed a pact to keep it from humanity that the world was about to be destroyed. And my Archaix veterans already know the mechanism was the phoenix. The Book of Enoch 82:5. This is an obscure reference to the vapor canopy collapsing. It says, heaven purifying and snatched away. And falling to the earth, I saw likewise the earth absorbed by a great abyss. That abyss is the mesosphere, and it's very thick. And at one time, it was an ocean above called the firmament, and it just collapsed, and it caused the great flood. And when it collapsed, it no longer hid the sun, which began all the sun calendars. This is what is known by ancient civilizations as the day the sky fell. Cuneiform inscription of Assyrian King Tiglath-Pileser III. This is almost 28 centuries ago. He said, 16 districts in Damascus I laid waste like mounds after the flood. Here's Book of Enoch again. In those days Noah saw the earth became inclined, and that destruction approached. We're seeing it now. How many YouTube channels are out there right now reporting on the magnetic variance between magnetic north and true north? How many? And every day we're finding out it's moving more, it's moving more, it's moving more. Well, there's going to come a tipping point where magnetic north has moved so far, so far away from true north that then this whole stellosphere is going to roll like a scroll, just like it says the sixth seal of Apocalypse in the book of Revelation. So in Archaix, we also discuss many anomalies where that are reported, where the science that we've been led to believe is absolutely untrue. The things that are recorded in the historical record could not have happened if we truly are living in the environment that NASA purports us to be in. It's just not true. All kinds of fascinating things showing that objects are local and that the sky is simulated. Let's see here. We'll move right through these. Oh, break for your doctrine. I'm done there. All right, so done with that. Check my chat real quick before we continue, because now we're going to get to the juicy. All right. Now we're going to get to the juicy, guys. All right, everything looks good. Nobody's complaining about audio or picture. Listen, if they've given us somebody mentioned David Copperfield. I'm going to tell you now, if they've given us enough anticipatory time for this event, and they have widely publicized that David Copperfield is going to make the moon disappear, I promise you that's not what's happening. I promise you that. Something else is going on. The elite would be in the possession of information about something about to happen to the moon, or maybe the power source is failing. Remember, I told you resets are all about rebooting the power source. Remember the Phoenix phenomenon? Martin Leakey was the one that made the connection with the sun being a battery, because what do batteries do when they corrode? They give off that red dust. The Phoenix blankets the entire world every 138 years with red mud, red rain, and red dust. So it's very interesting. If David Copperfield makes the moon disappear, I promise you he's not doing anything. Something else is happening, and they need you. Remember what Charles Fort said, an occult police force. He said this in 1919. He said all the evidence, the man was very well read, Charles Fort. He said all the evidence points to the fact that there's an occult police force that puts out excuses that are just good enough for the majority to believe, and they don't care if everybody doesn't believe. The David Copperfield deal is the same thing. If that moon disappears in the sky, it's because something else is happening. They're just saying it's David Copperfield. Don't believe that BS, guys. All right, let's share screen. Get back to my sharing screen. Oh, we're making good time. All right. NASA means never admit simulation anomaly. And they're not, because it completely collapses their whole income. So I'm done with that one. Let's get to that Phoenix. Let's get to this Phoenix. Man, there's so many. So for those new to my channel, there's a lot of charts on the Phoenix you can get into. I know it's an overwhelming amount of data. This is an old chart. It doesn't even fill in all the details. It only fills in the details, the individual years for which I had data for. But I've gotten a whole lot more now since then. This is really compelling material. You can go to my website to see this chart. It's also shown on several videos. But the Phoenix appears, causing volcanic resurfacing, continental quakes, oceans slipping over their basins, whole colonies of human survivors from the world before now erased. This is the year 3895 BC. The reset begins The Genesis story making Phoenix as a fiery revolving blade that ends Eden and begins a 6,000-year timeline till the next reset. This is 2106 AD. The Great Pyramid of Giza preserves the 3895 BC year period till the calendar change. Now, you're going to have to go into my Great Pyramid videos to see the amazing data and the charts that show that the internal arrangements of the Great Pyramid are a calendar of world history. It's because it's a program. It's amazing. In 1945, among the Egyptian Nag Hammadi text, was found an obscure writing that explains that this intruder who broke the power of the thrones was called the Phoenix and served as a witness against the Archons, which are lords of time, lords of the calendars, that would continue its devastation until the final apocalypse. The sixth seal is the final manifestation of the Phoenix, the sixth seal. And it's not the Great Tribulation. It's basically sounding off. It's a sign. Let's see. It is the bringer of darkness. What is the vapor canopy? It's the dark purple light period. How does it do it? It's volcanism. Undersea volcanoes and mountainous volcanoes above ocean level at the same time, spewing ash, pumice, and vapor, and it fills the atmosphere very fast. It's happened 4 times in recorded history, and it's real easy to produce a vapor canopy. Anyway, this is on the origin of the world. It's a Gnostic text discovered in 1945. Trimorphic protenoi. This is also from the Nag Hammadi library. This object came from the abyss, wrought chaos among the wandering thrones. The scholarly interpretation of thrones as planets. This intruder adopted its own path, unlike the other thrones, and was thereafter the bringer of destruction. I've showed in my Phoenix presentations many times. Phoenix appears. It's called the doom shape. It's called the destroyer or the destroying angel. Babylonian and Akkadian texts like the Enuma Elish and fragments of older Sumerian records explain that a vast destruction occurred long before their civilizations began, when an unknown object was introduced into the solar system. Don't get triggered. Don't get triggered by hearing solar system. This is the model that the sky produces. The arc and the phases of the moon are evidence. I've gone through this many, many times. The construct is a lie, and it wants you to make assumptions with your measurements. Those assumptions are the same ones the Greeks made. The Greeks thought we were on a planet. The Greeks thought that the movement of the star, the arc of the sky, was absolutely proof that we were spinning on an axis. And that axis proved that we had poles, and therefore we were on a sphere. And they used the moon and the sun being spherical as an example of the world they lived on. However, I disagree with that model. It's what they were led to believe by the measurements. Remember, from the beginning of my channel, I've always asserted the sky lies, the stars lie. 2653 BC, Phoenix appears. Indus Valley cities are destroyed by quakes, flooding, falling mud, red rains, and prolonged darkness. That's right. This is 1242 years after 3895 BC, the Phoenix Adam and Eve pole shift. 1242 years is the exact amount of years that was cited by Nostradamus from Adam to Noah. 2239 BC, Phoenix appeared, darkening the sun for days as meteoric rain, red mud, geological upheavals, and whole land masses sank beneath the oceans. Every civilization was reset, and numerous new calendars suddenly appeared in the Old Bronze Age at this day. This began the Heliolithic Maritime Empire. 2239 BC was 1656 years after the 3895 BC reset pole shift of Phoenix. Now, why is that important? Because 1656 years is what almost every ancient author said was the duration of the antediluvian world. The pre-flood world was 1656 years. Remarkably, it's divisible by 138, the Phoenix periodicity. Now, let's see, and 414 years after the 2653 BC ruin of the Indus Valley civilization. My Archaix veterans know, if you remember the earlier presentations, 414 is 138 times 3, but it's also referred to as a cursed earth period. Many terrible things have happened to the world in increments of 414 years. 1998, several scientists from various fields met and concluded that a cataclysmic event occurred in 2240 BC, so terrible it interrupted every Bronze Age culture. Look, what is that? 2240 BC? That's 1 year away from what we have chronologically verified as 2239 BC, a Phoenix year. Theirs is an approximate. These scientists are right. The entire Bronze Age world died. There's no doubt. In 2239 BC, the Atlantic Ocean rose and broke through the land bridge Gibraltar, connecting Africa to Europe. In hours, over 100 cities in the Mediterranean valleys were flooded as the Mediterranean Sea was born in a single day, destroying Malta and Sardinia and pushing through the Dardanelles to create the Black Sea, also drowning human settlements there. Elsewhere in the world, seas drained away to leave behind deserts, ever remembered as the Great Flood. Ancient Egyptian Heliopolitan text of Edfu reads that before the appearance of the Neteru, a great cataclysm killed all the inhabitants of the first creation when the Pen God appeared, like a dragon bringing darkness. What was Phoenix called in ancient times? The Great Red Dragon. Here it is. Phoenix derives from Pien, the Pen God. This is cuneiform. It didn't have A, E, I, O, and U. Didn't have any vowels. This is the Pen God. This is Phoenix. Fiend deity or Phoenix. 1963 BC, in the reign of the Sumerian king Amar-Udak, also known as Merodach in the Akkadian, and Marduk, the patron god of Babylon later, the sun became violent and it darkened. The event is remembered in the Vedic Ramayana text. Centuries later, the Greeks would remember that Zeus defeated Typhon at this time. Typhon is the phoenix. 1549 BC, the tempest stele of Amenophis reads that a great darkness fell upon the world, so thick torches were not seen, houses were flooded. Amenophis' throne name preserves Noph, or Neph, the winged disc symbol of the phoenix. Egyptian names are similar to West Semitic names, only mirrored. Noph is phoenix, just like the Egyptian goddess Neith backwards is Athene, the same goddess in Greece. I've showed many examples of this mirror effect from right to left and left to right. Historian Castleton reports in 1549 BC, a great destruction occurred in Mediterranean, centered at the Cyclades region, just over the horizon from Egypt. So the Egyptians are kicking back in 1549, and the whole horizon goes black in the region of the Cyclades. That's very interesting. It probably happened to the whole of Europe. Why is 1549 interesting? Because it's 138 years after 1687 BC, the Ogygian deluge. 1687 BC, the Heliolithic maritime empire was broken. Over 3,000 ancient Bronze Age cities and ports were destroyed by sudden appearance of a dragon that devoured the sun and set the moon on fire. Over 40 chronological references target 1687 BC as a total reset to cities, calendars, and dynasties. It is the date the Kraken darkened the sun in the legend of Perseus when the city of Joppa was flooded. Got a lot. My Phoenix videos go into all those details. 1687 BC, the Ogygian flood by ancient writers was considered the beginning of Aegean kingdoms because all those that drowned in the flooding stayed under the sea. It was a total reset. Historians dating the disasters of Ovid, Servius, Homer, the Samaritan Chronicle, the Mexican Annals of Cuautitlan, and the Annals of King Amastrama of Ugarit relate that in 1411 BC that the sun was attacked from the region of Cygnus. This is the northern heavens. This is also the origin of the myth of Phaethon and the sun. But Cygnus is the swan, like a phoenix. But Cygnus is also the Cygnus Rift, a giant black darkness that we just don't know what it is, a black hole or whatever. It's a great rift in the heavens called the Cygnus Rift. The Phoenix Reset of 1687 BC ended the age of the Heliolithic master builders. These are the ancestors of the order called the Craft, whose public identity is known today as the Masons. For obvious reasons, the final and 33rd degree of the Craft is the Phoenix. Phoenix is the symbol of civilization resets. 1135 BC cataclysm in China is the mandate of heaven changing. The Shang dynasty collapses. 250,000 Chinese escaping war escape in ships to reappear in Central America, Veracruz state, as the Olmeca in Central America. The Chinese dragon Phoenix is called the Feng. Can't make this stuff up, guys. And this is an overview. This has nothing to do with all the massive amounts of Phoenix evidence. This is just a real simple overview. 1273 BC, in the annals of King Merciless of Hatti, the sun became obscured by unknown means. In this year, Archaix won the kingship of Achaia over his brother by predicting that the sun would darken. In the Near East was widely reported that the sky became red as blood. In the same year, 1135 BC, Pharaoh Seknakti of Egypt's reign ends as he reports a circling star that spits fire. It's the last thing the man reported. In his reign ended. The next ruler is Ramesses III, who records a terrible tsunami and destruction. He's the very next ruler of Egypt. So historians estimate that 3.8 million people died in this year from the catastrophe. Why aren't we hearing about this? How come nobody's talking about all this? Every one of these dates is 138 years apart. In 1135 BC, Nebuchadnezzar I of Babylon recorded an object in the sky like a comet. The word comet didn't exist. This is a modern interpolation. This is just a word that is used in modern times to describe an unknown object found in an ancient text. Now, in May, the Tuatha Danann invaded Ireland in the Battle of Magtura. It's actually pronounced Moitura, I believe. Shocking the Furbolgs. In the second Battle of Moitura, they waited until the sun darkened and then they attacked the giants and won. It's called the Second Battle of Moitura. It's for the possession of Ireland. In this year, the Chinese report an attack on the sun. In 1135 BC, Seknakti reported that an immense black cloud covered the sky. The sun turned blood red and disappeared. Red dust blanketed the land. This is the same Pharaoh that said one of his last inscriptions is that a strange star spitting fire appeared. 721 BC, the Chinese report a change in the heavens, an inability to predict the darkening of the sun. That's odd. That means the moon didn't do it. Plutarch and Ovid wrote that at the end of Romulus's reign over Rome, the sun was blackened. Flames were seen in the heavens with thunder. Darkening of the whole world is confirmed by Latin writers. Assyrian writings claim that a new world age began, and these changes were only caused by celestial events that wrought destruction on earth. Babylonian record a Babylonian record has the sun turn black. In this year, the 10 tribes of Israel, who had long been overlords over Judah, were now carried away into Assyrian captivity. The Edomites rewrote their scriptures, renamed their prophets, invented Moses, and gave birth to the religion of the Jews. This was only after the Israelites were taken into captivity and they were unable to defend the integrity of their scriptures. Their libraries were looted and they were bastardized and stolen by another people. 583 BC, the sun darkened, but not by the moon, predicted 2 years earlier by Thales of Miletus, a Phoenician by remote descent, and mentioned by Herodotus of Halicarnassus. In the historical narrative, from this point on, it becomes more and more clear that none of these civilization Phoenix reset disasters have anything to do with the moon. Academia pushes the eclipse interpretation despite the actual ancient writers' explanations that the moon was not involved. 583 BC, suddenly Japan institutes a new calendar called Nihon Shoki. The Delphic oracle in Greece suddenly initiates a new Pythian calendar. Pliny dates the Thales sun darkening to be 170 years after the founding of Rome, which was 753 BC. That dates precisely to the Phoenix year 583 BC. Pliny nailed the date exactly, using a totally different calendar. This sun darkening event stopped the Medo-Lydian War, resulting in a peace accord negotiated by none other than Nebuchadnezzar II of Babylon. I don't know if I'm going to present that in this, but there's a monument in Turkey called Yassilikaya that shows the peace agreement. The two kings of the Medes and the Lydians that are making an agreement are holding a black sun in the peace treaty. It's called Yassilikaya. In 445 BC, the 27th dynasty of Egypt, during the reign of Artaxerxes, the first of Persia, suffers widespread fires, flooding caused by an unknown astronomical body. Wow. 445 is 138 years after 583 BC. Dr. Renaud de Jong wrote that the disaster lasted 13 days and killed about 830,000 people. That's amazing. 31 BC, Macedonian dynasty of Egypt records the appearance of a sky dragon of immense size passing through the heavens with comets causing a red rain like blood. Cleopatra and Antony are defeated in the Battle of Actium, as at the same time that a terrible earthquake rocked Greece and Judea. It is said that it is one of the worst earthquakes in the entire history of Jerusalem. It's a Phoenix year. In the Far East, the Han dynasty of China records the passing of a dragon trailing red vapor. What I always tell you guys, you can't make this shit up. I got a drink to that. In the year 246 of our calendar, Anno Domini, earthquakes and volcanism in Central America. Suasilico pyramid is partly covered in lava. This is a very strange round pyramid, but it's covered in lava. Old British Roman annals report that it rained blood in different parts of the kingdom, that a terrible bloody sword cut across the sky. It's a Phoenix year. Now, 522 CE. I've got several videos on this one year. Earthquake struck Olympia, Greece. Over Britain, during a reign of Octa of Kent, dragons were seen in the heavens, raining great drops of blood. A star appeared in the form of a dragon. This year began a 25-year darkness, just like the Ogygian deluge. Now at 25, it's called the Justinian darkness. It began the Justinian plague period. This also began the Dark Ages. Phoenix visitations to the ancient Americans were linked to the black sun. Phoenix was also linked to the Thunderbird. During the Dark Ages of Europe and Asia from 522 to 1350, the Maya and several other civilizations were destroyed in repeated cataclysms, but none of these can be dated with precision. 1488, the northern prophetess Ursula Southiel born, later called Mother Shipton, in the same year of a Phoenix transit. Whether original or an introduction of new material, a Phoenix reset cataclysm is perfectly described and dated to happen a century after a Second World War. Mother Shipton's prophecies basically say that a red sky dragon will appear and reset humanity a century after a Second World War. This is what she said, guys. I've quoted it many times. Well, the World War event started in 1939, but the World War aspect didn't start till 1940. 100 years later is 2040, the sixth seal, a Phoenix year on the 138-year timeline. So even if the passage is a forgery and it's not a part of Mother Shipton's original deals, who over 250 years ago added that passage? Who? It's crazy. In 1561, the northern prophetess of Yorkshire called Mother Shipton died. In the same year, Nostradamus published his famous prophecies. Oh, this is an old list that I had. Way before I started my channel, I did a list. Yeah, it's crazy. To me, it was all, my original list was all about divine coincidences, showing that all reality is under the control of the oversoul. I wasn't even on board with simulation theory back then. But I have a whole list. Maybe one of these days I'll publish it. I have a whole list of all the things that just make me understand that, man, there's nothing to worry about. There's nothing to fear. This is all scripted. 1626, after 4 years of drought and famine in China, the sky darkened, and as a roaring was heard, it rained stones upon the land, killing people, livestock, and crops. This is a famous story in China because there was a drought. There was no rain for a long period of time. So the people came together and they got the Taoist priests and told the Taoist priests, hey, but they gave them all kinds of whatever. They gave them gifts and everything, but you need to pray for rain. So they make a big hubbub about it. They all get together. They do this huge ceremony. They pray for rain, and suddenly rocks start falling from the sky and the sun goes black. It's a Phoenix. It's a Phoenix year. Mother Shipton of Yorkshire, born 1488. She died in 1561, the year Sir Francis Bacon of York was born. Sir Bacon died in 1626, the very next Phoenix year, which is 138 years after her birth. 1626, the Dutch found New Amsterdam, later to become New York. For those of you who don't know, Nostradamus predicts that the new city will be destroyed in the year 2040. It is he names the Phoenix. He knows about the 138-year deal. I show it in his quatrains. It's amazing. It's amazing. Most Nostradamus scholars missed all this because they were not applying the amazing date index that was discovered by Mario Reading and published about 20 years ago. Look at this. The Star Trek diagram of the solar system shows the north to south orbit of Phoenix on its path between Venus and Earth. Exactly what is illustrated to the right in When the Sun Darkens. I drew this illustration in prison to describe, because I used to believe in the solar system model. I didn't have a clue that the sky was simulated, but I used to believe in the model that has been presented to us. And in that model, the way Phoenix behaves, it's moving on a north-south trajectory, which means we have two ecliptics in the system, not one. The other ecliptic is going to be the dark star, a collapsed, it's the sister of our sun. She is called Nemesis. She's a black hole now. So it's really interesting, guys, that a Star Trek for the Sigma Draconis system. Look, it says Sigma Draconis. What does Sigma mean? It means unknown variable. So the unknown Draconis system looks just like our system today. And this would be the Phoenix right here. It's crazy. Just like my chart shows. My chart was drawn, I didn't even know anything about that Star Trek episode. Look at that. Age of the Phoenix. Here it is. It's crazy. Coincidences abound. 1902, hundreds of billions of tons of red mud, dust, and reddish rains blanketed the world, covered islands, and even covered ships. In my video, I describe how ship captains had to pull all people on deck just to get it off before their ships capsized. It's all over. It was reported all over the world. A new star appeared, some believing it to be a planet, bringing forth also a new comet, attended by earthquakes and volcanism. In May, cities around the world reported a blackening of the sky. The mud flood researchers will find many of their documented modern resets were in 1902. A vast amount of effort and resources has gone into erasing this event from the historical record. In 1919, Charles Fort concluded, after exhaustive research, that in 1902 through 1903, we passed through the remains of a powdered world left over from an ancient interplanetary dispute, brooding in space like red resentment ever since. The other dark age of the year 1902. This man was one of the most well-read individuals in the entire history of the world. Anyone who has read Charles Fort's 4 books knows this. A pyramid in ancient America boasts of 138 serpent heads. A serpent head is a dragon. 138 phoenixes? Wow. On a pyramid? Is that a coincidence? But what is coincidence is that it's 138 meters tall. That's crazy. Oh, we have all these numbers. We have all these numbers from the ancient world. But this list is inconclusive. I have more to add to this list, as I've shown in newer presentations. But every one of these numbers, from Helena Blavatsky, from Hans Bellamy about the ancient Maya, Aristarchus of the Greeks, Greek astronomer, the Inca of South America, the dating of the Ogygian deluge according to ancient chronographers, the pre-flood world duration, all these numbers, the time between Adam and Noah according to Nostradamus, the cursed earth timeline of biblical chronologist Stephen Jones, the 138 years of rabbinical tradition of the visitation of the angel of death in Sodom and Gomorrah, all this, guys. Every one of these numbers, 414, the Phoenix cycle of 552 years, 1242, 1656, 2208, 2070, 2484, 2760, right here, and 4968. These are just some. My list is bigger now, but these are numbers that have appeared in many ancient texts about cataclysms all throughout the past. And the common denominator is every one of those numbers is divisible by 138. In 1902, the Masonic United States changed the phoenix on the Great Seal to an eagle after 120 years since 1782. The Great Seal Pyramid identifies 13th degree of masonry, or the Royal Arch of Enoch, builder of the Great Pyramid. 1902 Phoenix Transit began the Masonic elite's final 138 years. They know and have long been preparing for May 2040. My very first videos, I came out the gate telling you guys the elite already know all the information I'm revealing to you. They already know it. Been knowing it. And when I say Masonic, you have to understand, those who are members of my Archaix TV, you understand when I'm saying Mason, who really founded and controls the Masonic order. New York originally founded in 1626, a Phoenix year. New York to be destroyed in its 414th year, which is a cursed earth period. In 2040 by Phoenix, also found in Nostradamus' prophecies. 1764, astronomer Hoffman observed an object pass over 1/5 of the sun's surface, darkening it in the month of May. Now, the object moved from north to south. It went down. All the planets are moving this way. The sun and the moon move on and this is the plane of the ecliptic. He was not expecting to see something come from the blackness of northern heavens, pass over the visual field of the ecliptic, and disappear south into the blackness south of the ecliptic. He wasn't prepared to see that, but he did. He did, and it darkened the sun. And 250,000 people in Europe, which is northern hemisphere, also witnessed the same darkness without a telescope. Nostradamus, in the lost manuscript by Ottavio Cesare Ramati, Nostradamus wrote, "Many will die before the phoenix dies." Nostradamus, in a letter to King Henry of France, "In due course of time, the future will be known." Michel de Nostradome. Century 2, Quatrain 41. This, in the date index, this refers to May 2040 in Mario Reading's date index. And he didn't know anything about the Phoenix, didn't know anything about the 138-year periodicity, none of that. The great star will burn for 7 days, and the cloud will make the sun appear double. Everything I'm reading to you is the date index of Mario Reading for the quatrains. Everything I'm reading to you is about 2040, the month of May. Many will die through war started on that day when a bearded star falls. He will appear towards the north, not far from the bearded star. Bearded star is a comet. Phoenix brings a comet. The trembling of the earth at Martara, the 10 island of St. George hath sunk. The UK, guys, half of the UK will go underwater in 2040. Just like New York. Earth-shaking fire from the center of the earth will cause tremors around the new city. Volcano. New York might get swallowed in a volcano. The moon eclipsed in great gloom. His brother becomes the color of blood. The brother of the moon is the sun. Nostradamus admitted in a private letter that his predictions derived from the secret library his family possessed that was destroyed by him after he wrote his book called The Centuries. The new empire in desolation will be changed from the northern pole. Remember, the sixth seal in the month of May in the year 2040, the phoenix is going to cause the sky to roll like a scroll. When it rolls like a scroll, we're talking about a temporal pole shift. That's what we're talking about. The new empire almost across the board, almost across the board, all Nostradamus interpreters believe the reference to New Empire, which appears more than twice, maybe 3 times in the quatrains, is a reference to the United States, which did not exist when Nostradamus was doing these prophecies. It is the New Empire. The reason for this is it's also described as a type of Atlantis. And in the mind of Nostradamus, Atlantis was a land on the other side of the Atlantic. So, like Francis Bacon's, like Roger, was it Francis Bacon or Roger Bacon that wrote the New Atlantis? But anyway, the new empire in desolation, that's the United States, will be changed from the northern pole. Oh, here's that chart I was talking about. Here we are at the end of the simulated construct. We're at the very end now, guys. We've already been through all this. In this incarnation, in this series of travels, remember, we're sojourners, we're pilgrims, we don't belong here. We're here to experience all this. This isn't an actual reality, it is a perceived reality. It only takes 200 years to go from horse and buggy to Hadron Collider. This chart was done when I only had these Phoenix. I had a lot of Phoenix material, but I didn't have all of what I have now. Yeah, this is 2020 when I put this out. 1687 BC, Stonehenge site was damaged by the Phoenix cataclysm. That's the Ogygian deluge, destroyed the whole world. Now, Professor Newton, He calculated the site was erected around 1680 BC. And what's crazy is his published findings were released in 1902, a Phoenix year. And he is sitting here, he was researching Stonehenge, which is an ancient clock. And I have a presentation where I show that Stonehenge was specifically designed to warn us about the month of May. It's what everything points to in Stonehenge, the month of May. So Amos 8:9, I will darken the earth on a clear day. That's a prophecy. In 1643, an Irish bishop happened upon an ancient manuscript on Germanic mythology. The text opens with a prophecy by Osiris. The sun turns black, earth sinks into the sea, the hot stars down from the heavens are whirled. Thus, a prophetess conveys that history grew out of a cataclysm and will ultimately return to another one. Genesis to Revelation. Here's a famous piece of art right here. That's the Assyrian king, and that's the Israelite king Jehu right there. So many sources wrongly claim that the winged disc was a symbol for the sun. This right here, that is not the sun. Zechariah Sitchin popularized that. This relief depicts the Israelite king Jehu submitting to king of Assyria in 859 BC, a phoenix visitation year. Do you see that? That is a phoenix. Phoenix darkens the sun. 859 was on the 138-year phoenix periodicity. This is a very well-known Assyrian. Damn dogs sound like they're chewing somebody up out there. Biblical chronologist Stephen Jones, in his book The Secrets of Time, knew nothing about the Phoenix, knew nothing about the 138-year timeline of the Phoenix, knew none of about my chronological research, didn't know anything about me because I was in prison and unpublished before he even released his book. He perfectly dated the Adam and Eve reset to 3895 BC. He perfectly dated the Ogygian deluge episode 1687 BC. Yeah, that's why I cite his material. He only used the Assyrian eponyms, the Book of Jubilees, the Book of Jasher, and the Bible. His chronology is amazing. Oh, let's look at this. All right, so this is a famous frieze. Lord Pakal Votan. This is what's used by the Ancient Aliens crowd. They used this. Eric Von Daniken started it. Zechariah Sitchin copied it. Billy Carson copied it. This is all. It's ridiculous, guys. But they say this is proof of ancient aliens. That this dude is a Mayan astronomer on a rocket ship blasting through space. It is absolutely stupid. It is retarded. I can't even believe that anybody would even look at this. They don't know. They don't even know what they're looking at. This is a Mayan stargazer. The Mayan stargazer is looking through an apparatus at something in the sky. That's what the sigils describe. The sigils are also explaining that he's looking for the end of the world. Anyone who studied Mayan sigils will know crossed bars are always signs of the end of a cycle. It is the closing of a cycle. Call it a reset. Here it is. This whole frieze is about a Mayan stargazer, Lord Pakal Votan, looking through a sophisticated apparatus that helps him look at the heavens better, and he sees the feathered serpent. That's the feathered serpent right there. In China, it's the Feng. In the Norse, it's Fenrir. In the Greek, it's Phoenix. In ancient Egypt, it's Knoph, the opposite of Phoenix, the reverse. The feathered serpent, Quetzalcoatl, is right here. This is the Mesoamerican Phoenix. This is the Phoenix to the ancient Maya, the feathered serpent. And the Aztecs, Zapotecs, and Toltecs. This is it. Kukulkan is the Phoenix. Here it is. There's the Phoenix he's looking at. This is a better picture of it. Here's the Mayan stargazer. He's looking through an apparatus. This is a lens. He's looking through it right here, but however, it goes through this cross thing and goes right up here, and he can see the phoenix. What does the phoenix do? It is bringing these cycles to a closure. This is the story being told. These are flood, fire, volcano, wild beasts of the earth sigils, and crossed bars, which all signify reset. It's all here, guys. There's no ancient aliens here. It's crazy. Here's a newer chart on the Phoenix. Here's the names: Fiend, Feng, Fenk, Noth, Typhon, Fenris, Fenrir, Doomshape, Angel of Death, Neph. Yeah, all these are references to the Phoenix. There's even more than that, guys. There's even more than that. But we can't go too far on this. We got to keep going. This is just another Phoenix chart. Go to my Phoenix playlist if all this interests you. Here's another Phoenix chart. It's the exact same dates, but those dates, damn, I keep dropping this thing. It's the exact same dates, but these dates specifically show these major 1656 year patterns in these Phoenix cycles. It's all here. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful construct. Absolutely. Here's another one. Here's the vapor canopy period. This is a better one because I actually drew 138 through all these. Look, we have all these now. Have so much data on the Phoenix, and I keep discovering more and more. This chart's not even complete. I got to add more to this chart. This chart has a legend. It shows right here which ones were world cataclysm, which ones were with the sun darkening, which ones were just regional disasters and the sun darkened. Which ones were Phoenix? The Phoenix was observed, but there's no recording of a cataclysm. Vapor canopy begun, dated in May, accurately predicted, a new star appears. Now that legend helps you understand what we have records for. Does it mean this is comprehensive? No. I could actually fill this way more if I had access to more data. That's the problem. I was in prison. I didn't have all the data. I'm now getting it. I'm now finding more. And every month that passes, more and more gets added to this chart, and more gets added to my Phoenix files. So yeah, it's amazing, guys. It is amazing. I believe we'll be able to fill this chart out. I believe that there's others among you that can also help fill in these details. Many of you sent me emails of profound things that were on these Phoenix years that I did not know about. So yeah, it's a group effort, guys. So this is Joel chapter 2, verses 32. It may be wrong. This could be a New Testament verse that sounds just like a verse in Joel, because I know Jesus quoted some of the Old Testament prophecies almost word for word. But the sun shall be turned into darkness and the moon into blood before the great and terrible day of the Lord comes. Yeah, it's way before. In fact, it's 60 years before. 2040 is 60 years before the return of the chief cornerstone. Yeah, guys. Sixth seal of Apocalypse, May 16th, 2040. There was a great earthquake, and the sun became black as sackcloth of hair, and the moon became as blood. Every mountain and island were removed out of their places. Then it says, in the heavens rolled like a scroll. That's May 2040. Here's something I want to add, because this is no longer correct, meaning it's incomplete. I'm going to add to it. 3 old manuscripts from antiquity share the same intriguing facts. The rabbinical book of Jasher, the Dutch Oerland manuscript, and the Yorkshire prophecy of Mother Shipton are all known and all discovered centuries before the Phoenix phenomenon chronology was published for the first time in the year 2009 by me. All 3 texts are originally accepted as authentic. All 3 describe Phoenix destructions and provide dates for those destructions. Now, all 3 establishment authorities are now condemning all 3 as forgeries. I'm going to add a 4th text that I did not know about when I put this together 4 years ago. The 4th text that's to be added to the list with the book of Jasher, the Dutch Oerland manuscript, and Mother Shipton as being authentic, but now academia is attacking it, is the Colburn Bible, which also discusses Phoenix at length. All right. This is my second book on the Phoenix. Here's another Phoenix chart. You can learn a lot from the charts. The charts are packed with all kinds of data, all kinds of patterns and cycles, epicycles, all kinds of stuff's in here. I need to go back through all my own charts because I've lost material. I've lost my focus on some of this with the acquisition of so much new material. It's packed. Let's see. Here's a clean one. It's another color code key system on the Phoenix showing you different things. A description of the Phoenix phenomenons in the bottom. Every 138 years, mud floods, liquefaction, induced subsidence of surface, red rains, reddish dust, moon turns red, new star appears, earthquakes, sun darkens, mass vanishings of human populations. All right, move on. This is from This was from a Phoenix year, 1764. It describes something very, very unusual that happened in the month of May in 1763. This is crazy. This was published in 1764, a Phoenix year, talking about the month of May, talking about all these weird things that appeared in the sky. Look at this. Here's the full report, how widespread it was over Europe. This is in my Phoenix playlist. I go into this document as well, guys. Very interesting. The sun shall be darkened in its goings forth, and the moon shall not cause her light to shine. Isaiah 13. I think I'm almost done with this, the Phoenix deal. I have a video, St. Paul's Cathedral, Phoenix Prophecy in Stone, 2040. It's been montaged. I believe this one's been montaged. No, it may be a standalone. It may still be a standalone in the Phoenix playlist, but I also know it's been montaged in the Phoenix videos. That's my first book, 2009, on the Phoenix. And we're done. We're done with that. That was the longest one, guys. That was the longest one by far. I need to get back in here and check my chat because that was a long time for me running my mouth without looking at my chat. All right. So I see somebody mention Telegram. Guys, I have a Telegram, but I haven't done anything with it. I haven't put anything on it. My old Telegram, I'm locked out of it because I changed devices and I changed numbers, and the only number it will let me verify is from an old device I have no access to anymore. And I can't even get into the settings to change. I don't even care. I need to start over anyway with all new, more compelling data. If you really want to find me, I'm not on Facebook. I have no Facebook presence anymore. There are Archaix groups, but they really don't have anything to do with me. I'm not participating in those. I don't know enough about them. I'm not in control of any of the material, so I don't really care. But so I'm not on Facebook anymore, guys. I'm really not on Telegram either. I don't do anything with that Telegram page. I'm absolutely not on Instagram. No Archaix, no Jason Brashears is me. Those are all fake accounts. And now any Jason Brashears you see on Facebook is also fake, especially if they're promoting Archaix stuff. And there is a guy doing that. It's probably the same guy doing the Instagram. But it's all fake. It's not me. You want me? It's Archaix.com. It's YouTube, Archaix TV, and I am posting a lot now on Twitter, on X. All right, let's move on. I was on Facebook last week, Chris. I was. Facebook kicked me off, and when they kicked me off, they also took all my posts down. I had over 1,000 posts in the Archaix group. I mean, I still got them. I keep copies of everything. Everything's backed up. I'm just going to find a new place to put everything. You know what? I'll post the link to X, or if Dawn is listening, because I know Dawn had some chores to do today. If Dawn's listening, if she'll post the link to my X, to my Twitter, or if anybody knows it, you can post it in the chat. Well, I don't know if you can. You can't post a link here unless it's a moderator. Anyway, let's get to. We're not done, guys. We got to move. We got to get some. We got another presentation. So, baby phoenixes. Gone. The elite have long known about the phoenix, and I'm going to go through these really fast after I make sure I'm sharing my screen. Let me make sure I'm sharing my screen. I'm not. All right. Share my screen. So there's no question whatsoever that our controllers already know about the phoenix. We've already beat that dead horse. I mean, here are phoenixes right here. War, cataclysm. I'm going through these fast because I have a whole video breaking down a lot of this material. Here we're looking at the construct. It's not a coincidence that the phoenix is cleverly hidden over here on the side, but it's not hidden so much that they didn't halo it in all white. They wanted to make sure it was noticeable. Phoenix is there. This is the construct. Again, there's your phoenix. There's your phoenix up here. Here, of course, you can't miss it. Here's a phoenix. All these old alchemical treatises. This one right here blew a lot of people's minds. It blew my mind too. This is the construct, the mathematical construct. Here's the phoenix right here in the middle, but it's a mirror image. The right side is a mirror image of the left side in concepts and in numbers. However, there's one line right here. This one right line, you see my crook, is the only difference on this whole illustration here. This is what it's showing here. Look at this right angle line. Right angle infers a rule, a square. A square is a Masonic symbol. The right line touches the phoenix and then touches this line here. Why would it touch that line? Well, let's follow that line and see where it goes. Looks like it goes to the only place here that says 138. Can we confirm that? Yes, we can. We can go right here, follow this to the other side, where again it says 138. Right there. Follow it. Here it is, right there in the middle. The right line touching the phoenix. This is by design. It's all by design. They know all about the 138-year periodicity. Phoenix is everywhere. Here's a phoenix back here fighting this lion. Here's a phoenix right here when the elite are underground. And all these other people are on this mountain. I don't know, the Jester or Joker or something up here at the top. I don't know. But here's the white rabbit. Follow the white rabbit. Where's the white rabbit go? Into the hole. The common folk on the surface are blind. You see the blindfold? They're blind. There's the phoenix there. The elite know all about the phoenix. This is all a part of the construct. Like I said, I have a whole video that goes into a lot of detail about these pictures. Here's the phoenix right here. I explain a lot what's going on. Russ, look, you're looking into the underworld here. They're looking into the underworld. Here's the phoenix. Here again is the phoenix. Zechariah Sitchin. He told everybody this was Nibiru. Zechariah Sitchin really messed a lot of people up. Ask Billy Carson. So look, Phoenix is here. I don't want to spend a lot of time on this. I know there's a Phoenix here with Jupiter. This is Jupiter. This is the god Jupiter. There's the Phoenix in the bottom. Jupiter standing on the world. Here's a Phoenix here. Phoenixes, I already seen that one. Phoenixes are everywhere. There's one at the top of the page. Phoenix here. There's got to be. This is the Emerald Tablet. Oh, there's the Phoenix. I knew that Phoenix is going to be somewhere. There's the Phoenix at the top. Okay, Phoenixes. Oh, we got a lot of Phoenixes. Look, we have a reset here. We have a vapor canopy that hides the sun. We have lightning and fallout, look like stones and maybe hail, massive amount of storms, and a phoenix falling from the sky. Here's another concept piece of the construct, showing the center of the world full of lost souls, all the caverns of the underworld, cities and places to live in the underworld. All of this, look at it. Here's the surface of the world, the oceans. And then it shows other continents outside the center, the surface of the world. But if you keep going past the atmosphere, you get to this guy. The Phoenix, surrounded by flames. Now, don't take Jason's word for it, because I do believe that says Phoenix right there. It says Phoenix is right there. So, again, we got this dude with a bow and arrow and a bird on this one. We got the Phoenix on the other mountain. Phoenix, you can't miss that Phoenix. Got to understand, guys, they've been putting it in our face from day one. They have never hit it. That's Phoenix. I know there's a Phoenix in this damn picture somewhere. Every picture. They got a picture of Phoenix in there. Oh, right there, inside the triangle. Inside the pyramid is a Phoenix. Clever. Almost missed that one. Another Phoenix at the top. Right there with the lamb. Pyramid in the middle. Here's a Phoenix right here. We know it's a Phoenix because it says Phoenix. It says Phoenix right there. Oh, they're getting hard. There's a Phoenix at the top. Of course, that's a Phoenix. That too. That too. Phoenix inside of the pyramid. We've already seen this picture. I just blew it up. Oh, yeah. Here's the sun and 2 stars. The lion is on 1 star, and the left foot of a man's on the other star. And look, Phoenix is right there in the bottom. And all 3 of these luminaries form a perfect pyramid with Phoenix in the middle. Can't make this stuff up. There's Phoenix right there. Here's a Phoenix in a very bizarre situation of these people in the middle. They seem to be okay, waiting their turn. These people over here getting bit by snakes. They're going through some torments. These people over here have to show their papers to see if they're going to be issued into the afterlife. Some weird stuff going on. This lady here, Medusa's releasing all these snakes. We got a guy with a skull meeting this person here, telling them their fate. We got the judges back here making announcements. We got people that haven't made it over here that are getting their entrails eaten. I don't know. Somebody else can interpret all that. Here's another Phoenix construct. Oh, more. Yeah, we've already seen that, but we've seen a different kind. There's Phoenix in the middle. Can't miss him. Can't miss him. Here's a pyramid with the Phoenix at the top. That's the last picture. I didn't want to spend a lot of time on that one, guys. Been through that so many times. We got 2 more files to go through. I'm going to have to go through them fast because it's already been 2 hours and 20 minutes. But they've never hit, guys. It's always been there. It's been there. So let's go through this next file pretty fast. I don't think this is a big file. Here's more. Here's more. Look. You can't pass this up. This is alchemical text. Look. There's Jonah being eaten by the whale. Pyramid in the eye. Right here. We're going to talk about the pyramid. Here's the pyramid again. It's hidden in this Jewish symbol right here, but the pyramid in the eye is right there. If you remove the upside down triangle, you got it. The pyramid. Phoenix is underneath it, but it says Jesus. Again, pyramid in the eye. There it is. This is a depiction, the winged construct. All right. So there's the pyramid in the Phoenix. Okay, we see that. There's the pyramid in the Phoenix. That's what we're talking about. The last file is about the pyramid. Here it is again. Pyramid in the eye, in the middle. Pyramid is always associated to the Phoenix, even in legends. In my first book on the Phoenix, When the Sun Darkens, that's what we have. Here's your pyramid. Look closely. Look at all the eyes forming a circle, 2 double ring on the perimeter. So we have the pyramid in the eye right here as well. So I don't think I was supposed to show this I already showed this earlier. The Phoenix. Look at that. The eye. This is from Manly P. Hall's book right here, The Phoenix. Right here. That's the eye again. All-seeing eye again. All-seeing eye again. Now, Remember, I've told you guys in prior presentations, the Tower of Babel, that story isn't true as far as being a big giant construction built at Babylon. It's not. It's a clever story concerning the Great Pyramid in Egypt and what it was built for, and how the gods, whatever you want to call them, were offended by the fact that mankind had figured out a great secret and they knew how to escape. And this is what the story of the Tower of Babel was: building a construction that would allow them to enter heaven prematurely, escape the construct. So the Tower of Babel, they divided their languages and all that. When you see pictures of the Tower of Babel, it is nothing but a euphemism for the Great Pyramid. Here's the eye again. There's a whole lot to unpack in there. Eye at the top, right above a pyramid. And that's the last one right there. So yeah, the phoenix, the pyramid, and the eye, these go in tandem a lot. There's a lot of symbolism here. But we'll go to this last file. It's a little bit bigger. It's not in order. So we'll go through this pretty fast. This is basically for just a reminder for my veterans. Remember, this is the Grand Gallery, guys. This is not a pharaoh's tomb. What you're looking at is what's called technolithic, meaning it is so precision engineered to the thousandth of an inch that machines had to have made this, and it's also a machine itself. This is the Grand Gallery. Grand Gallery's right there. It's that big hallway right there of niches. It's a very unusual, some type of mechanism went rapidly up and down this gallery. It's a great pyramid. There's a Grand Gallery again. It even says Grand Gallery on this depiction. Let's keep going. All right, this is from 1926. Engineer David Davidson realized that the Great Pyramid was isolating a calendar, and that the calendar of the Great Pyramid ends in 2045. Can't make this stuff up. He doesn't know anything about Nemesis X, which is 2046. Didn't know anything about the Mayan long count. So the Great Pyramid, we have a 41-story stone structure of laser precision tolerances scientifically measured to contain a coding based of rectilinear distances of units, all divisible by 138. A holospheric template of the future built over 48 centuries ago. All these boxes you see back here are measurements in the Great Pyramid. All these boxes, I got a whole chart showing all these and videos explaining them. All these boxes are definitive measurements done to the thousandth of an inch by Sir Flinders Petrie, and he never made the connection that every one of these measurements is divisible by 138. You can't make this shit up. The Great Pyramid of Giza is a crystalline geopolymer resonance generator carrying out a 138-year cataclysm protocol that only activates when humanity is found enlightened or advanced. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean humanity's good. And an enlightened society can be one with totally without war, totally without violence, but it can be completely amoral as well, with vacuous and with zero spiritual development. That's what this is all about, guys. Spiritual development. Great Pyramid finished in 2815 BC, or 1080 Annus Mundi, exactly 666 years before the Great Flood in 2239 BC. Coffin text spell 1080 identifies the year the Great Pyramid was built. 2815 BC was the year 1080 Annus Mundi. Coffin text spell 1080 says it is what came down from him onto the desert of sand. We'll get to more of that in a minute. Sumer has no technolithic ruins. This was put here because the Sumerians knew about the Great Pyramid. They knew about the Ker in the Dingir. They knew all about the tablets of destinies and where they were stored far away. But Sumer itself doesn't have any mountains, doesn't have any technolithic ruins either. So therefore, what we find in the Sumerian text about Sumerian history didn't happen here in the Red Circle. It happened somewhere else. Their civilization was somewhere else. Only by the time that it had been written down was it here in the Red Circle around Babylonia. The entrance to the Great Pyramid is hidden for thousands of years. Let's see. Google Maps has the Valley of the Kings 416 miles south of the Great Pyramid. This is just more evidence of the two Egypts. All throughout Egyptian history, it was called the Two Kingdoms and the Two Egypts. Most people don't know there's 400 miles of desert between the pyramids and all these Egyptian cities down here. But you don't see that. They don't talk about that in the encyclopedias. They want you to think that all of Egypt was pyramids and Valley of the Dead and all. They unify it all when it was never unified in the past. It's crazy. Hell, Jerusalem is only 271 miles from the Great Pyramid. It's close. It's closer than the Egyptian cities. Let's see. The capital cities of two major old world empires, Babylon and Nineveh, were 395 miles apart. This is two separate empires, and their capital cities were 395 miles apart. But we're supposed to believe that Memphis up here that has all these pyramids was actually connected to Thebes down here that has no pyramids. Come on, guys. It's two different Egypts, two different time periods. Every original city and the earliest cities of Upper Egypt were within a day's walking distance of Thebes. Every pre-dynastic temple and pyramid north of this was underground or underwater till the quake of 1899 BC that pushed the Mediterranean back, exposing half-buried pyramids in the life of Abram. This is the Grand Gallery. It is technolithic. A mechanism that traveled up and down using these niches is now gone. But you can see the niches. Something used this track to go up and down to create pressure, high velocity, a pump system. This is a track in the Grand Gallery once housing a carriage mechanism that raced up and down, forcing pressure through leaf locks in the antechamber and into the king's chamber. Guys, it's not a theory. Even Egyptologists admit that in the king's chamber, something exploded, releasing an immense amount of pressure. Here's the technolithic precision of the Grand Gallery at the bottom. It's machine perfect. Machine perfect, guys. Abydos, this is all, let's see, we gotta get through these. Okay, the Great Pyramid in Egypt is the only one that has these features you see here. All the rest of them only have the descending chamber and descending passage. The upper galleries and passages, only the Great Pyramid in Egypt has that, which identifies it as the Gate of IAK SAKKAK. Just like the Bible has fiction and yet it purports to tell the truth, so do fictional books have gemstones in them. It's just the opposite, guys. We're told over and over that some of these history books are absolutely factual, and yet we find that the historical facts are invented around something that is very real. Same thing applies to the Necronomicon. Same thing applies to Grimm's fairy tales. Same thing applies to parables of Jesus. We have fictional material wrapped around something that is very real. It's in disguise. This is what we have with the Necronomicon as well, concerning the Gate of IAK SAKKAK. 2239 BC, the old Bronze Age cataclysm, was 350 years before Menes, who in Sumer was called Anum, which is the reverse of Mina, who arrived in Egypt in 1889 BC, the same 350-year intermediate period of no history according to the Egyptologists. There is no history because it was underwater. Once upon a time, the whole universe, the people in unison to Enlil, in one tongue, gave praise. Same thing the Mayan Popol Vuh said. This is from the Sumerian text in Merkar and the Lord of Arata. Remember, Genesis talks about the same thing. And also remember that the Sphinx identifies the Giza complex where the Great Pyramid is as being Rostau. What is Rostau? Rostau is the hidden gate. The Cave of the Sibyl has a vague resemblance to the Grand Gallery in the Great Pyramid. The Sibyls were said to have come from Africa. This is the Cave of the Sibyl. It looks a lot like the Grand Gallery in the Great Pyramid. Arabian author Muhammad ibn Ab al-Hakim says the pyramids were antediluvian and they resisted the force of the Great Flood. He said that over 11, 12 centuries ago. Frederick Haberman, in Tracing Our Ancestors, cites an ancient Egyptian papyrus. The God of the universe is the light above the firmament, and his symbols are upon the earth. This is all me right here. You can see the Great Pyramid is the tree of life, the axis mundi, the pillar of Enoch, the monument of man that will soon support the chief cornerstone. The second pyramid is the tree of knowledge of good and evil. The Sphinx is the guardian cherub that covereth, a watcher. This was the guardian of Eden that kept Adam and Eve from going back, according to the story. So Eden, which is Eden, it was never lost. It's been right there in front of us the entire history of the world. It is Akuzan, Giza, built when Alpha Draconis, the serpent, the dragon, Draco, was the pole star. All other stars rotating around this luminary symbolized by the serpent wrapped around the pole, or axis mundi. Genesis' message is of a world reset and rebirth cycle completed when the chief cornerstone descends upon the monument of man. Remember, every soul is a stone of man. You will be given a white garment with a white stone, and in the white stone will be a new name. This is the Christian mysteries all over again. There's a really good Grand Gallery picture, cross-section. I just showed this the other day on another video. This history is why the Great Pyramid looks this way today. What you're looking at is naked. Until 1356 of our calendar, the structure was covered in white, gleaming, smooth, mirror-smooth limestone blocks. But now it's easily climbable because all that's been stripped away and removed after earthquakes and after engineers came and took all the rock. Herodotus, Strabo, Diodorus, and a host of other ancient authors all wrote about the original condition of the Great Pyramid, and this is what it looked like. Another cross-section. Here's the original entrance. I showed you on the Rostal deal. I showed you on the Rostal little meme image. This is the original entrance to the Great Pyramid. You can't go down there. They claim this doesn't even exist. But this is it's even with the Queen's Chamber passage right here. This is it. The descending passage is the false way. It takes you down to a subterranean chamber and leads you to only one place, a pit that for which no one knows how deep it is, but it's underneath the pyramid. That's the wrong way. You don't want to go that way. You want to go through the Gate of Rostal, which is center right here, which takes you to one of two places. Either straight forward to the shafts that project you to the stars. This is all how you get out of the kingdom of Seeker. Here, the construct, the escape from the construct is through the Great Pyramid, Rostal. This is what the Sphinx is telling us. So, anyway, this is all in other presentations. Edgar Casey reading on the year 1998. Remember, that's our palindromic isometric epicentral year for predictions. He said this over 100 years ago. Let's see. Great Pyramid is a record in stone of the history and development of humankind from the time of Ra and King Ararat to the year 1998. The records and prophecies of the pyramid are written in the language of mathematics, geometry, and astronomy. Try, guys. It's crazy. It's crazy. That's Edgar Casey. So we're gonna move on. I got all this is already covered in so many other presentations. Here is the Necronomicon, Book of the Mad Arab. Scholars have found that the Necronomicon has quoted whole passages from ancient Near Eastern texts, ancient Arabian myth, the Babylonian Enuma Elish texts. So If the author of the Necronomicon borrowed heavily from verifiable ancient writings, then we need to pay attention. Necronomicon, I have found fear. I have found the gate that leads to the outside, by which the ancient ones who ever seek entrance to our world keep eternal watch, whose name is writ in the terrible Magan text, the testament of some dead civilization. Magan is northern Egypt before there was a Gopt. Gopt is the ancient name of Egypt. Before the Egypt that we know of, North Africa was called Magan. Now, let's go with man is the key by which the gate of IAK SAKKAK may be flung wide, by which the ancient ones seek their vengeance upon the face of the earth. Necronomicon. Tome of the names of the dead. Necronomicon. What is new came from that which is old, and what is old shall replace which is new. And once again the ancient ones shall rule upon the face of the earth. Enter 2052, the return of the seven kings, the dark satellite. Necronomicon, there shall forever be war between us and the race of Draconis. For the race of Draconis was ever powerful in ancient times, when the first temples were built in Magan, and they drew down much strength from the stars. Were we just told that the Great Pyramids were power stations that drew their energy from the sky? Necronomicon, the Book of 50 Names. If the gates are not kept always locked, bolted, and barred, then the one who is always ready, the guardian of the other side, IAK SAKKAK, will enter and bring with him the hordes of the armies of the ancient ones. Necronomicon, the covenant which was given to seal the gates between this world and the other, the gate forgotten, by which the ancient ones ever seek entrance to the land of the living. Necronomicon, and it is said that some of that race lie waiting for the ancient ones to once more rule, that they may be given the right hand of honor, and that such as these are lawless. This is what is said. Testimony of the mad Arab. Now, what is being conveyed here is that the gate by which the elect, the redeemed, the awakened, those souls that, remember, a revelation is about, the end of the world is about he who overcometh. So what we are presented with is an ingress-egress point that does the exact same thing, but from two different sides. From inside the construct, when that portal is activated, however it's activated, it allows the escape in exodus of all those who are being removed from the construct. At the same time they're being removed from the construct, they are being taken out to keep them from the evil to come. This is the prophecies. At the same time that happens, we have 200 million locust demons in the book of Revelation breaking through a portal with Apollyon, the destroyer, that comes out of the deep. What was my last video about? Showing you that the Great Pyramid and the Sphinx mark the entrance to the underworld, the Great Deep. So we have a portal that does two things at the exact same time. It releases in Exodus those who are ready to depart from the construct. To he who overcometh, I will give a white garment in a new name, a new avatar. They're gone. Everybody left behind are going through the Great Tribulation. And as they're going through the Great Tribulation before the final reset that sends all the survivors back to Genesis to start back over, collapse of the infrastructure begins the whole Sumerian, Akkadian, Babylonian mythical traditions again, cargo cult phenomenon, all of it starts back over again. But before that happens, they're going to suffer a demonic invasion. The Gate of IAK SAKKAK is what it's called on the other side, and there are invaders just waiting for that portal to open. So that portal is both good and evil. Okay, this is just more. I've covered all these illustrations and many other presents. Oh, that was my last one anyway. There it is. That's my presentation, guys. That was my present. I snuck up on me that fast. 2 hours and 42 minutes isn't fast. That was my presentation. It's mainly for, let me get off screenshot. You know, this was mainly for, that's why I'm wearing my Baby Phoenix shirt. It's mainly for all those new to my channel who don't understand the diversity of concepts that are all woven together throughout all my presentations. This was for you, but it was also for my Archaix veterans, because you needed to be reminded. There's so much material here. Even I need to be reminded. I go through my old notes all the time. Even I had to be reminded about some of these core presentations from 3 years ago, 2.5 years ago, 2 years ago, that we may have forgotten, that are perfectly relative to all the new things that we're discovering now and presenting on YouTube. So I hope you guys enjoyed this presentation. It's gone way longer than I intended. But like I said, together, we are putting all this together. We're putting it all together, and it's coming together fast. The prophecy in the book of Daniel is true. In the last days, knowledge shall be increased. And the other prophecies that I divulged earlier in this video, in the intro, is that in the last days, knowledge shall be increased. It's all there, guys. It's all coming. It's all coming fast. It doesn't matter if the rest of the world doesn't believe. Remember, like Morpheus said in the Matrix, my beliefs do not require them to. Yeah, I love that. I love that. I love that scene. I love it, guys. But yeah, if you're really interested in some of these pictures I've shown you, all these pictures and hundreds more on Archaix.com, my website. Just find the right link. It opens up. I've got hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of pictures and charts and memes, just like I showed here, all on my website. Yeah, it's all free. And if you want them organized into PDFs and all that, you can just go to my link index on my website, and all my chart packs are there. Yeah, guys, I got so many amazing charts that put all this into perspective. So let's I love you guys, but I can't let this thing go on over and over and over. This is a long video. I didn't mean it for it to be this long, but I love you guys, and I'm gonna sign out until our next little presentation. Like I said, these presentations are gonna get deeper and better because we still got a lot to divulge.